Perfect. Awesome. So the recording is going. And again, thank you all for coming. So nice to have you here. And before we dive off into all the good stuff here, I do need to take a group screenshot for the Elegant Themes blog. So if you guys can leave your cameras on and put your smiles on, I will take a screenshot here.
Okay.
All right. So on the count of three, smile big. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Got that for the record keeping books. So perfect. So let's dive in. So like I said, I'm going to showcase some different pop-up options that are pretty easy and Divi friendly. And then I'm going to walk through another website that I've put together, highlighting just a few things, see if it's interesting for you guys. So with that, doing pop-ups are nice. I like doing pop-ups because if I have just a tiny bit of content, but that tiny bit of content kind of interrupts the flow of what the design is, I'll do a pop-up. And there's all kinds of plugins out there that do pop-ups. I prefer the ones that integrate with Divi, just because as a page builder, I want whatever my solution is to just play well. So I like to do that. And not every pop-up is created equal. And I'll kind of go into that here. So let me share my screen. Okay. So this is a brand new website. I actually put this together yesterday. And I'm using the plugin. It's from the Elegant Themes Marketplace. It's the Divi Modal Pop-Up plugin. And I actually really like this one. It's my favorite when it comes to creating pop-ups. It's super lightweight, really quick, and it hasn't bogged down my site at all. So here on this conditions retreat, this is one of those examples of, I felt like it didn't quite fit in anywhere, so we did a pop-up. So when I click on it, it gives me a pop-up, and I can do all kinds of things with it. I can create Divi library layouts and inject them into these pop-ups. Super nice, super lightweight, very simple and easy to use. And actually, it's just a module that you add to your page. So as you're building a page, you want a button to trigger a pop-up. You want a blurb. When someone clicks on the blurb, it triggers a pop-up. All of that's done right within the visual builder itself. So that's one option, and I can log into this and show you how it works, give you an idea. The other option is Tim Streifler's Divi overlays. This is actually the first pop-up plugin that I used to start building that out, and I really liked it. I thought it was super feature rich and give you tons of options, and uses the Divi builder to build out all the layouts of your overlay. And on this website, we are using Divi overlays. So all of these types of pain for this orthopedic surgeon, we are using Divi overlays. So when you click on it, we get the overlay screen, and we just have more information about hip pain, which is nice. So they look kind of similar. I think they achieve the same thing, but the way they work is entirely different. So let me log into the first one I showed you. I can show you how that works. Oops. Log into this one too. Okay, so we'll go back to the home page here. Oh, it's still loading. Okay, so for the Divi modal pop-up, like I said, it's a module inside of the visual builder, so I'll enable that. Okay. So this particular module, this is a blurb that I'm using a unique CSS ID for it to be triggered, because I have the actual modal pop-up in just this empty space that I have here. And so what's nice about this is it can be anywhere on the page for it to trigger. I just put in this empty space because it was there. So adding a new module, we have this here, Divi modal pop-up. And it gives us all kinds of options. So our trigger element type, we can trigger with a button, an image, icon, text, or the CSS ID or CSS class. All right, so obviously I did the CSS ID for above, but if we did a button, it populates a button for us. If we do an image, it gives us an option to select an image from the library. And anytime someone clicks on that image, it'll trigger the pop-up. So I like how integrated it is with the design. It makes it really easy to get the pop-up wherever I want it. Unlike Divi overlays, I have to go into the back end, create the whole pop-up. I have to get a special ID. I have to put the ID in the right spot for the pop-up to work. And sometimes it's not as easy as it should be. So for this option, I love this plugin, and I think it works really great. Gives you all kinds of design options for the trigger text, trigger image, what goes inside of the modal, for title text, body text, you name it. So super slick, and again, lightweight. And when I say lightweight, it means it's not going to bog down your load times for your website. That can be a really big deal, especially if your website is trying to rank in search engines. The slower the site takes to load, the more it's going to struggle to rank anywhere on the first page of Google, because it's just too slow. Okay, so this is kind of a quick overview of this option. Now let's jump over to Divi overlays. So like I was mentioning, Divi overlays has a custom post type in the back end, so it has its own section for you to create your overlays. So as you can see here, I got a bunch of different overlays built for all of those different pane types. And if we just edit one of these, give you an idea of what it looks like inside. And here it's just loading the Divi builder. And it'll show all our typical rows, sections, modules, all that. But down here on the right side, I think is where Divi overlay starts to shine through with our animation options. So when that overlay is triggered, what does it do in terms of, does it fade? Does it flip? How fast is it? How slow is it? Options for backgrounds. Whoops. So I'll reload here in a second. Which is nice. My big gripe with Divi overlays as of late is when I try to optimize the website for performance so that we're loading around that 2-second mark, Divi overlays is the #1 reason my site will run slow. If everything else is optimized, my images are small, I have clean code, I'm not using a ton of plugins trying to do all the same things, right? Divi overlays will be the #1 thing that slows the site down. When I remove Divi overlays, man, it screams. It's so fast without Divi overlays. Okay, which is nice, but kind of frustrating at the same time. So keep that in mind. Kind of go back. I feel like I'm jumping around here. Here in Divi overlays, to get anything, any sort of element on your front end to trigger a pop-up, you have to use one of their manual triggers, and you have to put this CSS class or ID inside of the module that you're using or that you want it to trigger. And it works, but but sometimes it doesn't, and it's really frustrating. That's because either the module isn't quite supporting it, or I notice it mostly with buttons, it has a hard time. But you have to use one of these in order for it to work. Okay, so you can set it all up, but it doesn't mean it's going to do anything. You have to add one of these CSS IDs or classes to your element. So if I were to go to the home page and enable that visual builder, maybe. Oh, this looks like a mess. I don't know why. But if we edit the blurb that says knee pain, you can see we've got the overlay unique ID placed in the CSS ID class. That's the only way this will work. Okay, so easy, can be a little confusing sometimes if you're trying to click on something that pop-up's just not coming. Okay. Another thing that I've noticed too with Divi overlays is the close button doesn't work on iPads. At least it didn't. I got in the habit of disabling the close button, the little X in the top right corner, and actually putting a button on the pop-up itself that says close. And like you might have noticed here, because this works for mobile. The X that used to be here, and it looks like it's kind of still trying to be there, but iPad users could never ever close the pop-up if I relied solely on that X. So I started putting in this close button for mobile devices so that pop-up can go away. But I still use Divi overlays in certain scenarios. But those are my two options that I use all the time. If you were to ask me today, I'm definitely going to recommend this one first, Divi Modal Pop-Up. So with that, are there any questions about pop-ups? Ardell has a question. And you're muted, Ardell.
Are you going to change the pop-up that you use in that one where it wasn't functioning well? Are you going to switch that over? Is that, were you just using the second one as a demonstration, or is that one fixed?
Oh, for Dr. Larson's site?
Yeah, yeah.
For now, it works. Like it functions, which is the number one goal. Like I need the pop-up to work.
Yeah.
So I don't have intentions of switching it out.
Mm-hmm.
The big motivator for switching away from Divi overlays to another option is if Divi overlays is truly causing me heartache, and for this website, it's not. This website really is just one page. We just have these jump links that take you down. So it's not a big site, so there's not a lot going on. So Divi overlays doesn't get in the way of other things. But yeah, so user experience, it works and it's fine. There are other sites where actually the cached files for Divi overlays was destroying the other styling of unrelated modules, which was the most bizarre thing. So as soon as I disabled Divi overlays, my layout fixed itself, which is kind of bizarre. But so yeah, I use them both. I like them both, but Divi overlays has caused me more heartache than the Divi modal pop-up has over the years.
And for a beginner, probably the Divi one is best to start with anyway.
Yeah.
On a writer's site, how do you vision a pop-up being used?
On an author's website?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's tough because I've done a few author websites the most that I've done for pop-ups is encouraging people to subscribe to like a MailChimp newsletter. And in that case, I actually don't use any of these plugins for that. I use Elegant Themes Bloom plugin
Bloom.
for that.
Okay.
Yep. Just because they have all the integration required for MailChimp, Constant Contact, Aweber, all of that. So that's what I like about Bloom, and that's all I've done on author websites.
Okay. I'll just make a note of that. And then that's BLOOM?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. The author websites that I've put together, they do have a blog, and that's the only reason we're doing a pop-up. Otherwise, there's no other content really that would require a pop-up in my mind, because we're showcasing the book. We've got a blog for ongoing conversations, either about the book or thoughts from the author. And it's that blog piece that we're trying to keep pushing to interested readers who want to learn more about characters or things like that. And you set all that up through MailChimp, basically.
Through MailChimp.
Yeah, MailChimp is going to handle your email distribution and your list.
I use SendFox at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bloom might support them. I haven't ever heard of SendFox, but they support just about everyone. So, but yeah.
I do have a blog on my website. And I was in something recently saying that I really should have a call to action for my newsletter on every page, which I don't. I've only got it on my Contact Me page. So perhaps I could use a pop-up for that on all my other pages.
Yep. Yeah, you totally could.
And I was wondering about, I have a lot of badges from various places, organizations that I belong to, and things that I've entered, that sort of thing. And I just thought I didn't really want to clutter up a page with, interesting facts, that sort of thing, or organizations that I belong to, that sort of thing. But these organizations would like me to have their badge on my page. And I thought, well, I wonder if that could be in a pop-up, or is that too obscure should they be maybe at the bottom of the About Me page?
Yeah, great question. So your badges, if I were putting it together and you gave me like these little snippets of content to go with it, I would probably just show an image of the badge and then do a pop-up. So that when they click on it, it comes up with that little bit of information. So they're only seeing it if they're interested in learning more about that badge, that organization.
Okay, so attach the pop-up to the badge, but have the badges like say in a row at the bottom of the About Me page or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Because there's Crime Writers of Canada, and there's Sisters in Crime from the US, and all kinds of different organizations. NaNoWriMo is another one. Yep,
exactly. So I think to keep the design clean, right? So this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier, right? I use a pop-up when the content doesn't quite fit the vision of the design. And in this case with badges, if there's a bunch of them, I would want to just show the badges more than I'd want to show content under each one of them. So that's just showing the image and then a pop-up for the content, I think would look really slick and keep your design clean.
And there's another nice one from Findaway Voices that is, the words audio carved into the pages of a book. Have you seen that sort of thing? Where they take a book and like this one, for instance, and with a laser, they cut a design in here. So when it's open like this, you see the whole design. It's really quite amazing. to
That's
see
neat.
these things. Anyway, Find Away Voices has a badge like that. So that's another one. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea. I will definitely use pop-ups for that.
Yep. And if you're going that route, you want to display an image that triggers a pop-up, then the Divi modal pop-up from that you can find on Elegant Themes, I think makes it super easy to trigger that pop-up.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool. Any other questions? And Kim, by the way, I didn't say hi to you as you came in. So awesome. Well, let me show you the other website I was talking about. Let me close these other tabs.
Another interesting thing is that Canadian doctors are not allowed to advertise like that.
Yeah, seems to be a popular thing with some doctors. Okay. I think you can see my screen okay. So this is a website, like I said, I finished it last month, and it's for Edmonds Orthopedic Center out of Seattle, Washington. And a little background story. This website came through the pipeline, and as you might imagine, in typical doctor fashion, their website, their older website, was full of text, full of big words that are only helpful in medical realm. You know, when they're talking at the water cooler, they can use these big words. No one else will understand them. And hardly had any images at all. Looking at Google Analytics, people that were coming to the website were coming to look for a specific doctor. And that's it. They found their doctor and they bounced off the website. And so when we started out on this project, we wanted to change the narrative a little bit more to show that Edmonds Orthopedic Center understands the pain that people are having with their arms, their wrists, their knees, their hips, whatever that might be. And so we try to introduce a lot of lifestyle images throughout the website that just emphasized we know what hip pain looks like, and we're here to help you. So let me just scroll through some of this so you can see it. We got doctors. We try to showcase doctors or make it easy for people to find doctors right away because that's what they're here for. And then we got the Where Does It Hurt section of the website. And we'll just do shoulder here. These pages are the really big part of the website in doing or achieving what we had talked about, and just showing people that we know what shoulder pain looks like and that we understand we're using words that they're using. So in this section right here, we went to Google and we had just done some searches on shoulder pain. And you know how in Google it says people also ask, and it gives you like some questions that drop down, gives you some answers. The more you click and drop down, the more answers show up. So we had copied those and we had presented them to all these orthopedic surgeons and said, this is what people are searching for. How would you change it, or what questions are you getting asked in your consultations? And what are the answers to these questions? So they came back with the top 5 questions that they get and the answers that they give people in very layman's terms for Google, right? So we have that right at the top to help people understand, because this whole section never existed before on their old website. And this was just a big part of our shift for them in being more successful in getting people to request an appointment. Right here at the top, that's what we wanted them to do, was request an appointment. And social proof is also a big thing. So we have a big emphasis, again, kind of the lifestyle element of this is we have success stories of people who've gone to Edmonds Orthopedic and had surgeries done, and they're sharing their stories. So we've got these videos here for them. We've got text testimonials as well. called calls to action about scheduling an appointment. And then we just have more just detailed information about the procedure, the doctors that specialize in it, educational links that link off the website for people to learn more, and then just related services within the center itself. And so we try to make it really easy for people to get around. And one thing that I really liked about these pages is the background video at the top that shows people in pain. Like you can see this therapist touching her sore hip, and she's kind of like, "Oh, that's tender, don't touch it." You know, we can relate to that, and that's helping drive more conversions throughout this website. So it's really, I think it's exciting to see their lead generator do more for them, more than it ever was. So it's super exciting to see all that. However, there were quite a few hurdles for this website in getting it to load fast. And that's kind of what I wanted to highlight here with you guys today, because it is a struggle. Because like I said, if your site loads really slow, it won't rank. People will leave before it even fully loads. And we've got a lot of video content on here. So we've got the background video. It's been optimized, of course. It's not any bigger than a megabyte, but it's still a heavy payload for the server to render that. And then we got YouTube videos. And YouTube videos are great because the server's not hosting them, but they're also terrible because it's a third-party resource, and all those files have to load on your website, and some of those aren't easily optimized. And so we're dealing with that. In particular, the knee surgery page is probably the most popular service here, and the doctor that does it is extremely popular. So we've got even more videos on here than any other service that they provide. And this Eric Cristal, he's probably their most popular doctor. He's got a lot of videos. So we had a lot of hurdles there because without any optimization for this website, these pages were taking upwards of like 30 seconds to fully load because we had so much we're trying to push out. But optimizing it, and I use a plugin called WP Rocket, just because it's kind of an all-in-one feature-rich optimization plugin. And with that in place, it was able to cut the fat so much with these videos that every page right now is loading around 1 second to 2 seconds, which is really fast. And our page speed insight score is 95 or higher. And I will credit a lot of that to the recent Divi performance updates as well, because Divi also made a lot of changes so websites can load really fast. So I think with all that combined, it was a really big deal in making this kind of website perform really well. So I think someone raised their hand. I heard a sound.
I was wondering where those animations, those background
the videos,
transparent videos.
Yeah, great question. So I subscribe to Envato Elements. It's kind of like Shutterstock or any of those other stock image repository websites.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had gone through there and spent a lot of time looking for the right video and the right photos. But after that, so video files, if you're going to download any of them, you're going to see that they're huge. They're ginormous, and definitely way too big for any website. So I use an app on my Mac here. I actually don't know if it's available on Windows, but it's called Handbrake, and it specializes in optimizing video files. And I even did some Googling specifically for background videos, because background videos, they don't need the audio codec, so that saves some space. They also don't need to actually be 4K or even 1080p. I optimize all those background videos to be 720p and had cut down the bit rate quite a bit. And that's what saved me on the file size and getting it down to the megabyte or smaller. That was the goal. If I couldn't get it that small, I went and found another video, because it was too big. And even with caching solutions, the person still has to visit the website again before it's cached. And if I am using a CDN, I use Cloudflare on this website. Cloudflare is great, but anytime I clear the cache, that has to rebuild for everyone. And it slows down the website. So if their first experience is uncached, I still want it to load relatively quick, even if it adds a few more seconds for them. So yeah, videos are awesome, and I love when they're used, because it just helps kind of break up all the content of what they're looking at, makes it a little more interesting, but it has to be done right. So
Thank you.
Yeah. What's your question, Ardell?
How do you promote other people's blogs on your blog?
You write about them, really.
But you don't link to it?
Yeah, you link to them because you want that external link, and it's from an SEO perspective, it signals to Google that your content is related to other websites, and so they start to get a sense of, oh, this is a book author. She's highlighting other book authors or bookstores. And so they start to kind of collate that together. And so anytime someone's searching for a book author or a type of book, you'll show up because they start to see the relevance there. But even after you link to another website, you write a blog post about them, you want to let them know about that so that they can share your post on their social media, or even in turn write a post about you and link back to your website. And now you get that backlinking going on. And there's a lot that goes into SEO, truly a lot, but every website has a ranking, like a score, like an authority score. And the higher the score, the more authoritative Google views that website. So for example, CNN as a news site has more authority than me writing about the exact same thing. Okay. And so Google will rank CNN higher because they have a higher authority score. But if CNN were to link back to my website because they like the content that I wrote, then my authority score would go up just a little bit because they're sharing their reputation with me, right? They're viewing me as a reputable source, so it kind of goes up. So it's a big game.
Would you contact this blogger in advance, or
No.
just make sure that you that blogger gets your blog? How do you do that? You just follow them?
Yeah, follow them, message them, you know, and there's all kinds of ways to contact people these days. Okay. Social media, contact form on their website. You know, and they may or may not acknowledge it. Chances are they're so inundated with messages that
just like
it'll just go under the radar. But if you're going to spend the time to write about them, their organization, whatever that might be, sometimes it's good to know that, hey, you're just expressing the appreciation you have for them. You've written a blog post about them, and you would just like them to see it. And some people are really great about reciprocating. Others are not. But yeah.
But so, there's no legal problem with promoting somebody else's blog on your blog.
No. The only legal problem that you can run into is if you are copying their content word for word,
Oh, no.
right? And as an author, I think you can appreciate plagiarism. And so that's really the only legal ramifications that would come from doing that. But yeah, by all means, write about other people and provide links back to their different resources or whatever. Yeah, not a problem. Like they can't stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
And in fact, they love it. I mean, the whole blogging community loves it when others are linking back and forth between each other, just because what's that phrase? A rising tide lifts all ships, all boats, right? So kind of a similar concept.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. Any questions? Any questions about Edmonds' website that I showed you, or any other Divi related questions?
Yeah, I have two. I'm on an iPad, so I can't. I have to log in to show you. But the adjusting the margin banner padding around a logo, a top left logo. I've hardly touched the details of these things, but it's one of those things that I would love to find the keys to that room.
You bet. I can actually show you that. Just give me a second to pull up. Okay, share my screen. All right. So coming back to this website, and I'm going to assume you're going to use the default Divi theme navigation bar. You can create a custom one using the theme builder, but if you're using the default one, what you'll want to do is go into the theme customizer, and you can get to that from two places. If you're looking at the front end of the site and you hover over the site name, you'll see a theme customizer as an option.
Right.
Or if you're already in the dashboard, you go to Divi, and then theme customizer will be under that flyout menu there. Okay. Now, once we have our theme customizer loaded, if you go to header and navigation, and then primary menu bar, you'll see that we've got two options here right at the top, menu height and logo max height. So menu height controls, as you might guess, the height of our menu. Okay, so if we want it really thick and tall, we can set it really tall. I prefer my menus to be a little as narrow as possible, just because they're going to be fixed. So as we're scrolling, I don't need the menu to just always be there taking up a third of the screen. So I keep mine pretty narrow. And then the second option is the logo max height. So it's best to think of this as like a percentage. So right now it's 60% of the height. And if I adjust that up, you can see how just the logo is getting bigger within that space, right? So at 100%, it's taking up 100% of the height there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've been able to do that. Is there any? What about the left-hand side?
So like in this case, it says Dr. Sue.
Yeah, to the left of Dr. Sue.
Right. So this, so here we're starting to reach the limitations of Divi, unless you're going to add in custom CSS. For me, with the introduction of the theme builder, if I'm going to do any sort of customizing to this menu bar, I'll just use the theme builder instead. Because they have already built in padding on the left and right. So even though I have made the navigation bar full width, so if I uncheck that, it tucks in and is only the width of the website, which is 1080 pixels. Okay. If I say make full width, it goes out full width, but it still keeps that space on both sides, so there's room for everything to breathe.
Got it.
Okay.
And then I'm looking on one of the sites that I built now. I'm now looking to bring the lighthouse score up, and one of the issues is the size of the photographs. And there's one particular set of photographs in a gallery. Now, so I noticed that as I adjust the browser size, I'm seeing a kind of a crop of the photo. It's not showing the wide photo. It's showing the central part of it. If I'm just wondering, for a full width gallery like that, is the I guess I'm wondering about what I can do to minimize WordPress's resizing.
Sure.
Is there a way to specify like 3 different sizes that it would go to rather than do the calculations to resize?
So WordPress is going to create a series of sizes based on where you're implementing them. When it comes to Divi, you can pick one of those sizes, but it'll stick with whatever you pick. It's not going to choose really necessarily on its own. So I think there's 2 parts to what you're trying to achieve. So your lighthouse score is saying your images are too big, right?
Okay.
So the first thing you'll want to do is you'll need to come to a website called imageresizer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And here you'll want to upload all of your images intended for the website. If I just select one here, we can walk through this really quick. So here's a stock photo image, okay? And once it's uploaded, I now have tools to crop, flip, or rotate this image. And for my edge-to-edge photos, like we see here, in this hero section here, that photo goes edge-to-edge. And because desktop images or screens range in all kinds of pixel width, I will typically just do a 16:9 ratio, which is the same ratio as our videos on YouTube. Okay, but what I like about it is it gives me that little more narrow scope of the photo, which is usually what I want in a background photo anyway. I don't want it really tall. So I'll crop it at the 16:9 ratio. So I'll crop that. And my edge-to-edge photos, I will resize to 1920 pixels wide. And then it usually ends up being 1080 pixels tall. So from a desktop perspective, I get all kinds of range. The photos, it's going to snap to the edges. So as the photo gets, or as the screen gets more narrow or wider, that photo is just going to stretch to kind of match. But once it hits 1,920 pixels, that's where it's going to stop. So our big, like, massive 30-inch displays that people are using full screen in their browser, they're only going to see 1920. The image will actually just stop on the edges, but that's a pretty rare case in my opinion. But the image also has enough height to accommodate wider browsers. So then I just download it or resize the image from here. And this image has already been optimized, but it does an amazing job at compressing your photos, which we need. So if you do this, I think your lighthouse score will go up, or those warnings or errors will go away if you go through this process. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So that's part 1 of your question, I think. The second part is, how can we define different photos for different devices?
Yeah, like the mobile, like mobile, because these, you know,
Mhm.
these are wide pictures. There's almost nothing there for mobile. And in
Yep.
fact, the banners, the buttons are already. I've had to resize fonts in order to fit them.
Yep. Yes. It's a very typical process to go through is or setting specific settings for different screen sizes. For your photos specifically, so in this, our hero section here, I'm going to edit the section, go to background,
Hmm.
and then we, just like you've enabled your device settings for different modules such as buttons, you can do that for your background as well. So when I enable that, I can now set a background image for desktop, tablet, and mobile. Okay. And this photo, it's a tricky one, right? If I move it over, you won't be able to read the text. Or I can leave it the same and people can read the text. But anyways, I can keep the same photo and I can just adjust its placement, its alignment. So right now it's center, or I could do center left, center right to kind of get the existing image placed where I want it. Or I can upload an entirely different image specific to mobile so that it looks just right for that. So that's your part two, right? Optimize your images accordingly. And then if you aren't happy with how it's resizing on smaller devices, enable your device settings and then upload a specific image for tablet and or mobile.
That's great.
Okay. Does
That's
that
great.
does that answer your question?
It sure does. It went beyond that.
Perfect. Sweet.
Hey, Dustin, I had a quick question.
Sure.
It's the same thing. I've been optimizing my photos to 1920 by 1080, and then I load them into I guess you call it a slider, at the heading at the top of my website.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I'm not able to get that thing in properly. It's if you could look at my website, I've got an example of it right now. I'm trying to load a new image into a slider and it's only giving me partial, or I get it loaded up and it doesn't go across the whole screen. It's cut off and too short.
You want to drop a link to your website really quick in the
Sure.
chat?
How do I, okay, chat. This is the first time I've done a meeting on this format. So is this chat? Okay. Thank you so much.
You bet. Says it can't find it. It's the
It's got I misspelled it. There's 2 A's in there. Should I do it again?
Nope, I figured it out.
You did? Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. So let me share my screen so everyone else can see.
So right now I'm trying to load a new image and I'm loading it as a background.
You're talking this section right here.
Yeah, that one right there. I want that to be a little wider across the screen. And I see something different than you do because I've tried to load a new slider in there, but
okay.
But I'm having trouble fitting those things and editing them.
Gotcha. Well, I honestly, without seeing how your things are set up in the Divi builder, I can only speculate at the moment what the issue might be.
So I click on the section and I go to the gear to edit it.
Now, is this a full width section?
It is a full width. It is a full width. I'm trying to load a new one behind it. I have another one that you can't see for some reason. You know what? Let me save the bottom of the page and and I think you'll be able to see it.
Okay.
No, maybe not. Okay, so anyway, could you just kind of go over how to, there we go. See how I've got a different size in the back there and it's not showing?
Yeah,
You see the black marble across the top?
I do.
Okay, so I'm doing a whole new image and I'm building the thing in Photoshop. I've got a new book cover for this book too. So I'm doing the whole thing in Photoshop and then putting it in instead of layering it in Divi. So I can just upload it as a simple, what is it, 1920 by 1080?
Yeah, so I think the full width slider module, in my opinion, is not intuitive at all.
Okay.
Because, well, we're more accustomed to, if we want a background image in the section, we would go to the actual section settings and do all that there. While these full width modules, while you can do all that there, it doesn't really work. They want you to actually edit what looks like the module itself, not the section. And that's what looks like is going on, is you're editing in both places. So when I inspect the page here, is I can see your slide here that has the image, and you've added the image there. And I'd almost bet that you added it as a slider image and not a background image for the slider.
Okay.
So I would double check that.
What's the best way to build this? Just the best way to build these out from scratch.
Yeah, so you can do the full width slider. That's totally fine. You just, all your changes need to happen inside the module area, not the section settings.
Okay. Which is the module and which is the section? Because I've got a blue that blue is the section. Then there's a green and then there's the black menu.
So so if you're doing a full width, it's going to show purple. So it doesn't sound like it's showing purple. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's a
the gear on the bottom, purple on the bottom, the gear on the bottom.
No.
Oh, page settings. It says page settings.
Here. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll use this website as an example. Here's your typical section that sounds like you're just describing.
Okay, the blue.
Okay. Yep, the blue. If I were to add a new section, there's these full width sections here.
Okay.
As an option, right? So when I click on add full width, I now have options for full width slider.
Okay.
Okay. So now everything's edge to edge and can take up the whole space if we want it to. Okay. So if this is what you're looking for, I would use this section type.
Full width slider. Okay.
Full width slider. If this is what you're looking for, right? If you want different content to scroll across, this is what I would use. Okay. And you can set a background for the entire slider. Okay. Let's see how it changes.
And then
you could.
Yeah. And then you put your photos on top of it or.
Yep. And your text, you can change and all that stuff.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Now, if what you're asking is you want a regular section that has an image that goes edge to edge, I would edit the section, the blue, click the cogwheel, go to background.
Okay.
And pick an image from our media library.
Okay, that's a still image. That's not a slider.
Yep, still image.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So there it is, full width right there.
Okay.
And the height of this is determined by our padding. Okay, for the section or any content that goes inside it for that matter.
So you adjust the padding through the green menu?
Or blue. I would start. So if you are going to put text content in here, so like this section here, So we have the same background image. I have 80 pixels of padding on the top and bottom. And then I have a row of content that also adds to the height of our section.
Okay.
So I don't need a lot of padding here because of how much content is within the section itself.
Okay.
Okay. So within our section and our row, you can then add, another image that sits on top of our background image,
Right.
kind of like this.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And if that's what you're doing, and your images aren't going as wide as you're expecting them to,
Yeah.
you want to click on the Design tab and check that your sizing isn't adjusted in any way.
Okay.
Or your image itself is just too small.
Okay.
Because everything is really done by pixels. And here, so by default, every Divi website, unless you go and change it, the content width of the website is 1080 pixels, 1080. Okay. So if your image doesn't have that kind of width and is smaller than 1080, it will never go. It'll never go the full width that you're expecting it to.
Okay.
Okay. So at least 1080 for it to go full width.
Thank you.
Which this image is doing. So if I click on the details here, that placeholder image is 1080 by 1080. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
So that's how we're able to have it so big. Okay. But again, sizing, we can always adjust the sizing so things are smaller. And that will work. But yeah, if you've adjusted it before and you keep replacing the image, hoping something's different, but this setting's still in place,
got it.
that will get in the way.
Awesome.
Okay.
Fun to use.
Okay. Does that help? Does that answer your
helps.
question? What were you trying to do?
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to playing around with it. I'm glad I'm jumping back in. I've ignored my website for a little bit, but it's coming around.
Okay. Perfect. Well, yeah, I hope this helps.
Yes.
Yeah, images can be tricky, and just about everything through Divi has the option for a background image. So just got to pay attention to where you're adding it. Definitely as you kind of go down from sections to rows to modules, everything can have a background image. So just make sure you're putting it in the right spot.
Thank you. Having this group is just awesome. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming. And Ardell, what was your question? Available.
I was just wondering if you could show, like, you're working on these websites from the front, and I work on them from the back. I've never worked on them from the front, so I'm not recognizing what you're doing.
Okay.
And I just wondered if you could just go to the back side and show that a little bit about the putting the background in for a slider on the background on the back side of the WordPress.
Gotcha.
And I just wanted to tell Liz that available needs another L in her image.
Thank you. Oh. I'm updating that all. Thank you so much.
I'm a terrible proofreader.
I'm grateful. Thank you.
Okay. So Ardell, are you using the classic editor on your website by chance?
Let me see if I can tell. Where is it? Where would I'm looking. It's got an orange down the side, and
so if you can see my screen, this is what the back end looks like if you're using the Gutenberg block editor. Does it look like this?
No, it doesn't. It's got. I'm on the dashboard tab on the left, and then it's got a whole bunch of boxes.
Right. Okay.
In there, and then it's got home, updates, Jetpack, posts, media, forums, etc. all down the side. I see I have 12 plugins that need updating. Oh my god.
Okay, so So that's part of it, right? If you're using the latest builder, then Divi wants you to do everything on the front end. And even though we can see all the elements, it's basically the wireframe mode that you're probably used to seeing.
Does the color mean anything? Because mine's orange.
Orange sounds like a specialty section.
Do you want to go into mine and have a look?
Or you said orange as your part of your background, your WordPress dashboard.
Yeah, the menu at the top and the menu down the left-hand side is all in orange with white text. And if I look at posts, then there's a whole list of the posts, and then I click on one of them and I can go to edit. It's a whole list of them in here.
Mm-hmm.
The same with pages. If I go to pages, then it lists all the various pages.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep. Yeah, that's what it looks like when I go into one of my pages.
Yep. So it's truly the exact same process we were just going through. We have just cut out all the visualization of building a website. So we still have our blue rows, our blue sections, our green rows, our gray modules, right? And even when we hover over any of those in the visual builder, we still see these little icons here that we can click on.
Yeah.
So if we click on the cogwheel for our section, we still have our background option, and we can enable all of that. So everything is truly the same. We're just looking at what they call the wireframe mode here in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
If I click on the desktop icon, we're now in the visual builder. We're truly always in the visual builder at this stage of Divi.
How would I get there from here? So I'm looking for the desktop something. Is that what I'm looking for?
Yep. So above the purple bar that says the Divi builder, towards the right, those first set of icons, it's the third one in, is the desktop one. Do you see that?
Wait a minute. I do not see something that says Divi builder.
I won't say Divi builder unless it's in this purple bar, like we were.
Okay. Okay. Here I'm gonna go to my dashboard. Okay, so now I'm on the dashboard at the back end. Now I should be able to switch to the front end and build the way you're doing it. But I'm just trying to figure out how to get there.
Yep. So if you're looking
up under my name, it says visit the site.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I check to see if my changes look right.
Yep. Exactly. So
hang on.
If you're at it,
There it says across the top, it's got 0 new WordPress edit. I wonder if that's it.
for Visual Builder, it'll say enable Visual Builder.
Visual Builder. Nope. I do not see that anywhere.
And you're looking at the front end of the website or the back end?
I'm at the back end of the website, and I do not see that Visual Builder at all. Editor, forms, update plus, extensions, advanced tools, settings, migrate, backup. Screen options. I wonder if it's under there. No. Wonder if it's under my name. How about, no, that's edit. No.
So Ardell,
Yeah.
if you're editing a page or a post,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so just as we had established,
Okay.
what my view is here is what you're seeing, correct?
Right. Okay.
Okay. And if that's true, then you should see this blue button that says build on the front end, which will enable the Visual Builder.
Okay.
And if we don't click on,
2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Now I see the Divi builder. Okay. Now you're saying, where do I look?
there's a blue button that says build on the front end. Do you see that? When you're editing?
It seems to be still loading. Hang on a sec.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It's still loading. Okay, there we go. Build on the front end. There it is. I see. All right.
Perfect.
Now
So that'll take you. Yep, that'll take you to the view that we were demoing before.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. Thanks.
Does that help? Perfect.
Yep. Sure does.
Awesome. Well, awesome, guys. So that puts us over time on this, and I think we should probably wrap it up. But thank you for coming. For those who stuck around. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Very helpful.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Jean, Liz, Joan, Ardell, thank you for coming. Appreciate
And
it.
see you next time. Very helpful.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
You're sure welcome.
Yeah,
So
thank you. I'll be
next,
back again. That was awesome.
Yeah, please come back. This would be great. So next month, just a reminder, we're doing our Divi Mega Meetup, second Wednesday of the month, October 13th. And it's going to be at the same time, but we're going to go a little longer, about an hour and a half to 2 hours, because we're doing a panel style discussion with some bigwig, Divi community members. So we're going to do that. And then for November, I'll do another Q&A style session just like this for more questions. So yeah, go to meetup.com. You can go to pretty much any Divi community and you'll see next month's event. You can RSVP to that, get it on your calendar, and learn some more. So
Super cool.
anyways,
See you there.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya.
You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.